Do you miss hash browns on keto? Well, this is the video for you because today we're making keto-friendly hash browns out of something unexpected. And that unexpected ingredient is spaghetti squash. So spaghetti squash is something that is very popular in the keto low carb space, although I have to say that I've probably only eaten it twice in the last 7 years because I've always found spaghetti squash to be kind of like wet and goopy, because traditionally you would cook a spaghetti squash by cutting it in half and roasting it and then putting the sauce inside. Like a month and a half ago or so, Sarah and I made a video where we tried to cook spaghetti squash a different way, and it actually turned out that cooking it in rings made the texture of the spaghetti squash different and brought out different flavors. And in the comment section of that video, and I think in the video itself, we were kind of like, this kind of could make a hash brown. Maybe we should try it someday. This is not the first time we have attempted hash browns on this channel. Sarah and I actually made hash browns out of daikon radish, and they were okay. But then maybe like last year sometime in 2022, Sarah and I actually set out to try another hash brown replacement, and we used cabbage, and we did not like it. I mean, it tasted good on its own, but it didn't remind us that much of hash browns. And so we're hoping that spaghetti squash cooked the right way could really resemble a hash brown. But before we start cooking our spaghetti squash and going over the technique of how to cook it correctly, we're gonna talk about the sponsor of this video, Element. Element is a delicious electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. That means lots of salt and no sugar. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Sarah and I typically drink Element in the summer with water, but in the winter, we love adding the chocolate medley to our coffee. That's because when you go into ketosis, you shed a lot of water, and inside that water are your electrolytes. This can leave you feeling tired, having muscle cramps, or nausea, also known as the keto flu. Element replenishes your electrolytes so that you feel better, and it tastes amazing. Sarah and I love all the flavors of Element, but in the winter, you cannot beat the chocolate medley, which comes with chocolate chai, chocolate mint, and chocolate raspberry. We'll typically pour a cup of coffee, add about a third packet of Element in there, and a couple tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. It is delicious. Right now, Element is offering our community a free sample pack so that you can try all the flavors. That's 8 single serving packets free with any order from Element. This way you can try the chocolate medley and get a free sample pack. In order to get this deal, you must go to drinklmnt.com/ketotwins. So in the last video, we actually cut this into rings and then roasted it in the oven with a little bit of oil, and it turned out really well. And as usual, I was having problems cutting the actual rings of the spaghetti squash just because people were afraid for my safety, which thank you for your concern. You should be.
Just slowly.
So in the comments, a couple of you mentioned that if you puncture some holes in this and then microwave it for like 5 or 6 minutes, it will make the cutting process a lot easier. And we're gonna try that today too. So let's do that.
Be careful.
She's already telling me to be careful. This is me being careful.
I like how you're like aiming and then you go somewhere totally different. Please be careful of your fingers. Okay, that's enough. In she goes for what? I don't know.
5 or 6 minutes? Let's do 6 minutes.
Let's do 5 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, rewind. Sarah has gone back and taken it out of the microwave because she said that we need to actually puncture holes in it, not slits in it, because the air won't be able to escape. So we are puncturing it with this thermometer, which seemed to work quite well, actually. Oh, there you go.
You just want the air to be able to come out, or the steam. There you go. Okay. 5 minutes.
No one said that being a YouTuber was a safe job. We have a little bit of moisture coming out. Looks the same.
Try to see if it cuts easier.
Will it cut easier? Oh. Wow, it does cut way easier. That is a great hack. That's a great tip. So now that we have our squash cut, we are actually making a second one, just in case. We are gonna be cutting the innards out, like that. So we preheated our oven to 425 degrees, because that's like the temperature that we cooked them last time. Although we have kind of cooked them partially in the microwave, but I still think that they need to be cooked at that super high temperature to get like that caramelized and dry effect that you're looking for when making spaghetti squash or hash browns. So we're gonna lay these out on a nonstick pan, and we're gonna spray them with a bit of avocado oil spray.
In she goes. Pretty heavy.
Oh my gosh, this is like at least 10 pounds. And we're gonna stick them in the oven for about 25 minutes. We'll check on them then just to make sure that they're cooked properly, maybe flip them over. We're looking for a golden brown crust on some of the spaghetti squash. It's been about 23 minutes. We're gonna check on it, maybe flip it. Okay, that's good. The top though is not at all. Maybe we'll move them around a bit. So, what, 15 minutes on this side?
Yeah.
So our spaghetti squash rings, they're looking really good. They've got like that golden kind of burnt, dry look, which is what you're looking for. We did end up cooking it for like 25 minutes on one side and then 15 minutes on the other side, but this is gonna make a lot. So I think that after you shred it, you could even freeze it and then have hash browns on hand if they taste good, which we're not sure that they are gonna taste like hash browns. But the only way to really decide if they taste like hash browns is to do the ultimate sin, which would be to make some hash browns just to try it so that we could compare it. And we're just gonna be eating a little bit because hash browns have a lot of carbs, as you guys know. And we're doing it solely so that we can compare if they come close to the real thing. But first of all, you're gonna wanna let these cool because they are hot. And in the meantime, we're probably gonna be starting to cook up our hash browns, which we won't show you much of because it's probably
the forbidden
sad to watch us cook up these crispy, crunchy looking potatoes, which we cannot have typically on keto. But you know, Sarah and I, we live what we call a technically keto lifestyle. So us having a couple tablespoons of potato is not going to ruin our lives. If you look at the recipe that we're actually referencing today, which is by thehonorsystem.com, we're gonna be leaving a link to that in the description below. She pretty much says that you need to remove all of the moisture out of the spaghetti squash strands. We're gonna start shredding our spaghetti squash into a bowl with a clean kitchen towel, or you could use paper towel. We're gonna wring it to try to get all of the moisture out of it.
So cutting it in rings, if you didn't watch our last video, also helps you get longer strands for the spaghetti squash.
This hack really did convert me into liking spaghetti squash again. Wow, that's a lot of more liquid than I anticipated because of how long we cooked it. Whoa.
The more water that you get out, the more crispy the hash brown is gonna be.
We put our dry spaghetti squash in a bowl. I'm gonna be adding in a little bit of garlic powder and some salt, and we're gonna start forming our patties.
Cute doggy.
Get out of here.
These are not for you.
With the potato hash browns, I just kind of put them in a pan in a pile, but she says to form it in your hand and then place them gently onto your sheet.
These are the real hash browns. And here are our keto hash browns. Please be crispy. Ooh, that's a brown one.
Kara's like, oh no, they're burnt, but look at this. I think they look super promising so far. We're gonna cook these a bit on the other side after we flip them. We're gonna plate them up, we're gonna go downstairs, and we're gonna compare the two. So Sarah was extremely apprehensive. She had her doubts. I now have my doubts that it's gonna taste like hash browns. I had high hopes, but you never know. I will say that the potatoes, they are crispier than the spaghetti squash, although the spaghetti squash is darker. So I think the spaghetti squash naturally has more water than a potato. So getting out that water as much as you can when you're wringing it, make sure to put extra time into that. So typically I would have ketchup with my hash browns, but I decided today to go with this Truff hot sauce. We really like all of the Truff products. So we're gonna go with our traditional hash brown, like we don't know what this tastes like. It's got a really nice crispy outer layer. Crispy. Good. Damn it, I don't think it's gonna come close.
So I don't even want to eat anymore.
It tastes right, but it's wrong. So moving along to our squash browns. They're not crispy. That's a negative right off the bat. I'm really liking the caramelization on the top. Adds a lot of flavor, roasted flavor. I don't know what to say. They don't cut the same as a potato, but... Okay, it's definitely not as crispy.
I like it though. I like
know.
the texture. I think, you know, before I really enjoyed the dark brown bits that we made in the other video. And with this, you get like all of it.
The spaghetti squash, when it's roasted, has a way better taste than the potato. The potato has a better texture than the spaghetti squash. Could I imagine eating this though with breakfast with a couple of eggs? Yes, I can. It's really, really good. It tastes really good, but the texture is not there. But it's really good.
And sometimes with these keto recipes, you kind of have to accept it for what it is and not what it's trying to be. You know?
Right.
This is a squash brown.
Obviously it's good.
Yeah.
We just ate all the ones we made. So I think that you should definitely give this a try.
For what it is, I like it. I will be making this again. Give it a try. Let us know if you do. If you guys want to see the video where we made something that was so delicious, my husband was screaming it from the kitchen. It was a keto-friendly samosa. You can click on the video on the screen and we'll see you over there. Anyway, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Emily.
And we are the Keto Twins signing out.